Welcome to the FGE Global Evaluations video launch to kick off 2 weeks of engaging online discussions with women-led global civil society. I'm Catherine Garvin, and I'm a member of the independent evaluation team from Impact Ready. My colleagues and I are conducting a global evaluation of the Fund for Gender Equality. We're using several participatory processes to engage FGE grantees from around the world in order to provide practical recommendations to UN Women on how to further strengthen its future grant-making in support of women-led civil society. Please join me for this short video as we explain where we are in the evaluation process and how you can get involved in the global discussion around the best ways for grant-making to support women-led civil society. Let's get started. First of all, here's a bit of information about us. Impact Ready is a feminist organization based in England that is made up of partners and associates from around the world. Our aim is to help social purpose organizations strengthen the impact of their work. We believe that evaluations can be excellent opportunities for stakeholders to reflect on their work, renew or create new relationships, and contribute to the improvement of systems and processes. As part of the FGE evaluation design, we're using a feminist evaluation principle that emphasizes participatory, empowering, and social justice agendas. We're implementing an empowerment methodology that provides communities with the tools and knowledge needed to monitor and evaluate their own performance. And we're using communication innovation throughout all of our stakeholder engagement processes. As part of this evaluation, we're conducting a portfolio review of all FGE grants, an organizational review of FGE, and 2 on-site case studies. We're also supporting grantee self-reviews and global online discussions with women-led civil society from around the world. We used an extended inception phase to reach out to grantees and key stakeholders to find out how this evaluation can be most useful to them and to focus in on the evaluation questions that are key to informing UN Women's future work. In addition to creating an Inception slide doc, we also created an Inception podcast to outline our evaluation approach and to encourage stakeholders to participate and to share their experiences and perceptions around international grant making. You can listen to it by following a link on our Facebook page. In fact, let's do it right now.
Welcome to the FGE Evaluation Podcast. My name is Rebecca, and as part of the FGE team, I thank you for joining us in the great opportunity to learn more about the first ever global evaluation of our fund.
Let's listen to Nicholas Randon from the Swiss mission as he explains why stakeholder engagement in this evaluation is so important.
Grantees are the ones who have been receiving support, so they know best what has been working well, what were their needs, and what they would like maybe something different to happen for next phase of the support. So it's essential for us as a donor of this mechanism to know from the practice and from reality what was very positive, what could be improved, so that we can, help other grantees with a better service.
To engage FGE grantees at the global level and to encourage self-reflection, we sent out email invitations to all FGE grantees, asking them to conduct self-reviews of what they did with their FGE funding. We asked questions having to do with the impact of the organization's work, how FGE funding strengthened the capacity of women's civil society, how funding helped the organization connect with others, how it helped organizations transform, and to what extent the funding reached those most in need. We asked grantees to submit audio or video recordings of their self-reviews and provided online video tutorials of how to record and submit self-reviews. In total, we're happy that we received 42 submissions from organizations throughout the world in multiple languages. We'll be using these submissions to create a synthesis video highlighting key themes and trends that have come out through the self-reviews. For a more in-depth look at how FGE funding has contributed towards strengthening women's civil society and has advanced women's rights, our Impact Ready team conducted 2 case study visits, one in India and one in Bolivia. So now we're inviting women's global civil society to participate in 2 weeks of dynamic and engaging e-discussions on the UN Women Empower Women website. This is a unique opportunity for women-led global civil society to exchange experiences, perspectives, lessons learned, and ideas around the best ways that UN Women can support women-led civil society in the future. These dynamic and interactive e-discussions will draw on the experiences and perspectives of women-led civil society to help improve future grant-making. The e-discussions will be hosted on the Empower Women English language platform, but participants can engage in their language of choice out of those that can be supported by the evaluation team, which include English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic. Everyone from women's civil society is welcome to participate. The discussions are intended to capture real-world experiences and observations. Therefore, it's not necessary to be a thematic expert to participate. After identifying key themes and triangulating information, we've decided that the e-discussion groups will explore 3 major themes that are important to FGE and to the evaluation process. The first theme concerns efforts to be inclusive of all different groups of women and to make sure that FGE funding goes to those who need it most. During our India case study, we saw firsthand how FGE-funded projects can raise attention and awareness around the needs of marginalized groups and encourage governments to address those needs. In India, the organization Jan Sahas used FGE funding to advocate for the rights of women and children, whose main livelihood is driven from scavenging. The organization has successfully liberated over 8,000 Dalit women, manual scavengers, from this form of slavery, thanks to 45 dignity support centers. Thousands of liberated women are leading advocacy efforts and participating in local governance. More than 60 resolutions have been passed at the local level to stop the practice. The project has also identified 16,000 additional manual scavengers, shedding light to the extent of this practice. Addressing the needs of women scavengers was a difficult issue for the government of India to address. It was really sidelined as a result. But the FGE-funded project, however, raised awareness around the issue and resulted in the rights of women scavengers being placed on the government agenda. In committing to the realization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, UN member states have recognized that the dignity of the individual is fundamental and that the agenda's goals and targets should be met for all nations and people and for all segments of society. Furthermore, they've committed to reaching first those who are furthest behind. So this discussion group, the first one that we'll engage in, will exchange experiences and perspectives around how women's civil society can positively influence government policies and actions to better serve marginalized groups. The discussion group will also look into how grant-making to women-led civil society can be leveraged to advance the agenda of leaving no one behind. We're going to begin this discussion group with the following question. How have you influenced government bodies to better serve marginalized groups? Do you have any stories to share based on your personal or organizational experiences and observations? The second discussion group looks into how international grant-making can support the capacity development of women-led civil society. Strengthening the capacity of women-led civil society can occur at various levels. It can be done through direct support offered by the FGE team to recipient organizations around issues concerning monitoring and evaluation, financial management, or overall administrative capacity. But it can also occur through other forms of support, such as strengthening partnerships, developing networks, or creating spaces where women's civil society can meet and develop a vision for how to challenge traditional systems of patriarchy. During our case study visit in Bolivia, we learned about an FGE-funded project entitled Mujeres en la Construcción hacia su empoderamiento político y económico. that supported the development of a women's construction workers union that is building its capacity to advocate for the rights of women construction workers who are working in the informal sector. During a meeting with members of the Women's Construction Workers Union, ASUMUC, several of the women explained how the union has created solidarity between women working on construction sites.
Ahora sí nos toman en cuenta los ingenieros donde nosotros trabajamos, con mucha gente más importante trabajamos, ¿no? Y ellos ya nos dicen a nosotros, antes cosas que no nos decían, no nos tomaban en cuenta como mujeres, no nos tomaban en cuenta. Ahora sí nos toman.
Women-led civil society plays a key role in advancing gender equality and women's empowerment. Strengthening the capacities of women-led civil society directly increases its ability to effectively advocate for women's rights and to advance the GEEW agenda. This discussion group will identify key areas where women's civil society would benefit from support and capacity development. Through this e-discussion, members of women-led civil society will exchange experiences and perspectives around how donors and grant-making can strengthen their work and support them in achieving their goals and objectives. To get this discussion going, we're going to start with the following question. What kinds of support does women's civil society need most to advance gender equality and women's empowerment? Last but not least, the third discussion group will exchange experiences and perspectives around lessons learned from initiatives that did not go as planned or that did not achieve desired results, and will discuss what could have been done to achieve better outcomes. To effectively advance the gender equality and women's empowerment agenda, actors must constantly reevaluate approaches and strategies to identify what works best. Some of the most valuable learning often emerges from experiences that did not go as planned, or initiatives that did not achieve planned outcomes. This question is not meant to highlight failures or dwell on elements that did not go as expected, but it's meant as a learning experience to encourage participants to think about what could have been done differently in order to achieve better results. Let's look at an example. When we were in Bolivia, we learned about a hugely successful initiative entitled Mujeres Bolivianas en el Proceso de Cambio, por un marco normativo con igualdad y equidad de género. And that was led by the civil society organization Coordinadora de la Mujer, who used FGE funding to bring together women's civil society groups and organizations from across the national, municipal, indigenous, and local spectrums to create specific legislative proposals to advance women's rights after a new constitution had recently been adopted. Now, the project is widely seen as a very successful initiative that resulted in huge advances for women's rights across the country. However, even so, during self-reflective discussions between the lead organization and its partner organizations, stakeholders identified that a key lesson learned from the experience is that had they further engaged men in the education of and fight against the patriarchal system, they may have seen more sustainable progress in terms of advancing women's rights. Even highly successful initiatives can still generate interesting lessons learned about what strategies work well and those that do not work well in terms of advancing women's rights. The launch question for this third e-discussion group is, what are some lessons learned that you have witnessed in terms of approaches or strategies that do not work well in terms of advancing gender equality and women's empowerment? Now, my colleagues and I at Impact Ready are very interested to understand whether you, as women-led global civil society, feel that exploring these thematic areas may help you to strengthen your work. Are there any other questions that you'd like to explore? What kinds of recommendations would you like to provide to international grant-making bodies to strengthen the support they provide for women's civil society? If you have any questions, or if you'd like to reach out to us, please don't hesitate to contact us directly by email or through Facebook or WhatsApp messaging. We hope that you'll take the time to engage in our online discussion groups and contribute your perspectives around how to strengthen funding support for women's global civil society. From all of us at Impact Ready, thank you for joining us.